Lean back and relax and let all your cares melt away, because you're about to enter the world of the prepared mind.
An outbreak of peace, huh? We're going to find out. It's definitely possible now. We're going to be talking about it because this is Sunday Night Live right here. It's the zoo, folks, and it's also Memorial Day weekend. So I'm going to start the show with a brand new bottle of Glenlivet 18-year single malt Scotch whiskey. And I've got my 220th or 250th anniversary Marine Corps shot glass sent to us by Heritage Pewter, which is www.pewter.com, Pewter, making tons of veteran memorabilia, shot glasses, whiskey flasks, etc. Recommend stopping and seeing them. Memorial Day is a uniquely American holiday where we celebrate and commemorate those great Americans who have served this country in times of war and perished. We're honoring the deaths of those great Americans who have fought for freedom. Freedom. The U.S. Constitution, the Declaration of Independence are about freedom from tyranny, liberty from tyranny, defeating tyranny, smashing tyranny, all those things, folks. It is Sunday Night Live, so I'm going to drink a shot to all those that we are commemorating. There we go, right there. I would like everyone, if you've got one, raise your glass to toast all those brave men, women, everybody who had freedom on their lips, liberty in their hearts, and a gun in their hand, and they were willing to use it, and they did, and they defeated tyranny, they defeated evil, and their lives were not lost in vain. God bless them all. Amen. All right, folks, let's do this. We've got another one. This is Sunday Night Live. We've got 100 people here live right now, and the ticker is ticking up. I want to say to everyone, well, Earl says I can't drink anymore, so I'm with you in spirit, and that's what matters. David Hastings is here. Bruce is here. Mighty Mouse's girlfriend, Yankee Watchdog, Diving Frog, Collins, Corey, Robin. We got C is here. We've got a lot of folks here. Redneck Roughneck, Chin Music, Marco, Tom checked in, David checked in. We got Mikey, Big Mikey checking in, Trucker. I know I'm going to miss someone. Don't get pissed off at me. Northern Hillbilly, everyone. God bless you. Joshua, very good. Cheers to all, folks. And again, the salute goes out to our brave men, brave women, brave Americans, our allies, those that love Red Dog checking in, those that love freedom and liberty. This is what today is about. Celebrating, commemorating, memorializing, recognizing, and understanding. Not just it's about Memorial Day, it's about defeating evil and tyranny, because that's the world we're in now. I had an interesting conversation with a very good friend last night, and it had to do with how evil is it today compared to 1776. And I shared the historical recollection that in 1776, yeah, we had our Declaration of Independence, but 50 years before that, in 1726, Benjamin Franklin was already writing in his newspaper about how England was tyranny, terrorizing, tyranny, despotism, all the bad things the government does, unleashing enemies, foreign and domestic, on us, right? Screwing with trade, collecting taxes, putting people in jail for no reason, no fair trials, just tyranny after tyranny after tyranny. The theft, the destruction, the blockades, the gun confiscation. Everything that was going on then is going on today, only it is backed by superior military firepower and huge propaganda. Davey D checking in. Huge propaganda, lies, and using technology, folks, to screw us over. All right, let's get into this. And by the way, I told my friend, the same forces that were at work in 1776 to terrorize and try and destroy the colonies of America is the same power that's in charge of the world today. The King of England, 1776, King George, yeah, you know, F you, George. But he was just a pawn of the banking cartel. That's right, folks. Kings took loans from the wealthy and from banks going all the way back 1,000 years. They would take out loans that they would have to pay back, plus interest. So it was really and truly the city of London, not the regular city, but the private city of London, owned by the bankers. They were the ones pushing for our destruction in America. They're the ones who came back in 1812. They were the same bankers that were destroyed by Andrew Jackson. They were, again, the same bankers that came back and profited, caused, and tried steering our republic in the Civil War. They manufactured, fabricated depressions, and then they finally got their Federal Reserve Act of 1913. 1913. Less than 20 years later, we were in the Great Depression. And they took the gold from Americans. They took the gold from Americans. They've been fucking us ever since. It's always been the bankers and their usury and their control of politicians. All right. It's always about stealing. They can't make an honest living, so they just go about stealing. That's what they do best. Let's check in with our good friend, Chin Music. And Chin Music has some comments. He also did a super chat of $52.23. That's right, folks. Right up here is a super chat button. That's how you can get on the screen, kind of like this. Right now it says thepreparedmind.club, which is where you can be a premium member. You can also buy everything you need to get prepared. But if you do this button up here, super chat button, I'll get you on the screen, your question, comment, observation, predictions, etc. Your thoughts, even jokes. That's how you support this channel. Sunday Night Live, the Zoo, is kind of like our continuous weekly guerrilla funding effort, where it doesn't come from YouTube. It doesn't come from advertisers. The money to support this program, the things we discuss, the topics, the actions, the documentation of everything that's happening, you guys pay for. It is literally your show. Your show. So let us do this. Let's go to Chin Music. He did a $52.23 super chat donation. So once again, for Memorial Day, 18 years, single malt, Glenlivet. And man, I got to tell you, smooth, like mother's milk. All right. We'll just set that right there for now. Chin Music has been a great sponsor. He's become a good friend, a trusting and trustable ally. And I got to tell you, folks, there's so many of you out there just like that. Here's to you, Chin. Happy Memorial Day to all. $52.23 super chat donation through Venmo. Thank you, Chin. Oh, man. Delicious. So Chin wants to jump right out the gate and go after the fraud that's everywhere. And here's what he had to say. We've all heard the jingle 1877 cars for kids, right? Turns out it should be called 1877 cars for Jewish kids to take summer trips to Israel for Zionist indoctrination. This nonprofit organization just got slapped in court in California, of all places, for misleading advertising. No more ads unless they disclose the actual intention of the funding. Oops, but you're not supposed to notice. They've been made the target of a class action lawsuit. Looks like they might get kicked out of California. Well, I'm sure they'll take a few cars with them. Anyways, Chin Music, this is something I did catch as the week went on. Cars for kids. Little kids playing musical instruments and acting cute and wanting your cars. You know, donations. Not being genuine about who they are and where the money goes. Now, what's amazing, folks, is Cars for Kids is all over the country, but there are many, many, many charitable organizations set up to collect money from you and me, all of us, that is supposed to be generally for, you know, that's philanthropy. But it turns out that many, 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 many of these organizations asking for your dollars send that money right to Israel. Some of it funds their military, the IDF, Mossad, their secret programs, their marketing. So, right here we are. This is the room we're in now. It's all becoming all too clear. Everything is a sham. Everything is a scam. Everything is a fraud. Everything is designed for them to live off of the rest of the world, to take advantage of people. It gets them rock hard knowing they're screwing you and me over. Oh, man, I tell you, they should be going after every one of these groups that are abusing the absolute privilege of being in America, because they're not Americans. They're not. Israelis are not Americans, folks. They're Israelis. Israelis are not American. They do not like America. They do not like our Constitution. They are trying to pass anti-free speech laws. The same people that want cars for kids are the same people that want you to shut the hell up and, as Chin Music said, stop noticing. See, that's just it. They don't like people noticing. They never have. They never have. America's enemies, folks, normally tell us, death to America. Well, they say something a little different. All right. Thank you, Chin Music, for that. And the great Super Chat donation. We do not have the U-Man here today. We do not have the Jolene here today on this Memorial Day. But you got me. And I am going to be here for the next, well, till 8 o'clock Eastern time, the 2-hour show. But what I'm going to ask from you is, please, if you want to comment, you've got to be a subscriber. Down below, subscribe. If you have something to say, you've got to be subscribed for 5 minutes, and then it'll go into the comments. Thumbs up the video. It tells YouTube it's good information. People want to know about it. And share that internet address right up there at the top of the screen, or hit the share button down below. And what that will do is that'll tell your friends, family, loved ones, coworkers, and even people you don't like. Look at this information right up there. You need to look at it. Consider it. Look at the world around you and go, what makes more sense? What the mainstream media is telling you? Or are your eyes telling you that you're seeing and your ears telling you you're hearing the stuff we're talking about? All right. So Chin Music from the great state of Texas. We're departing from him and we're going all the way over to Scotland in the UK, and it is Bob Hunter and Puss with a 10-pound super chat donation right here. And Bob says, St. John of Glenlivet. The pendulum swings between the light and the darkness. I am so glad, John, that I am on the winning side of love and light and kindness. God bless you, brother. And I got to tell you, Bob, that was really a succinct and a profound way of saying it. I am so glad that I am on the side of love and light and winning and kindness. But to win a battle, you have to fight. To reveal the light to the world, you have to sweep away the darkness. To show the love you have to expose the hate and demolish the hate. It almost seems counterintuitive that in order for love to win, hate must be destroyed, and it must. The two cannot coexist. The two can't coexist. They can't. And being kind. This is one that people say, John, you're just a mean bastard. You are mean. You're too direct. No, you have to be direct. Cut through all the crap. None of this plastic banana good time rock and roll fluff. Tell it like it is. We don't have time to play games. There's too many distractions out there already. There's too many forms of entertainment. In fact, I think it was none other than the Italian hillbilly who wrote, "The bread is stale and the circus is boring." Right? Bread and circuses. They want to keep us fed and entertained so you don't learn about what is going on in the world. This fight between good and evil. Yeah, the bread is stale. In other words, the food they're giving us sucks. And the entertainment? Hardly. Like, I want to see transgender fruitcakes competing for Best Dancer Award on television. No. Professional sports is a crock of shit. The last 3 weeks, anytime I feel the need for sports, I've actually dug up basketball or football or even baseball, right? My three favorite sports, just to watch an old game from the 80s, to watch a baseball game with Fernando Valenzuela or Maddox pitching, right? Or to go do a basketball game with a Magic Johnson or Larry Bird Celtics, or go to the football and, well, you know what I'm getting at. And just watch a couple of minutes, go, yeah, that's great. Now, wait a minute. Isn't there some reality we're supposed to be dealing with? You bet. Anyways, Bob, God bless you. God bless Puss. God bless everyone in the UK. You guys are ahead of us in America, meaning you're further in the hole. You're further enshrouded, enshrined in darkness that's trying to cover you with all of the illegals and the banking cartel and a government that hates you. The same government, by the way, that hated us back in 1776. And you might say, how can it be the same government, John? I mean, England still has a king. They still have parliament, just like they had then. But surely the people are different. But the plan, the execution, and the end result that the bad guys want, that is what I'm talking about as being the same. Thank you, Bob Hunter, for the great donation. I'm glad to know that you're doing well. Down in London, or rather England proper, we've got Steve Conlon. And then over in Belfast, Ireland, we have our friend Vincent. We haven't heard from him in a while. I hope you guys are all doing well. We got Remy Marsh over there in the Netherlands. And we've got people all over the world, folks. People all over the world. We got Peter down in Australia, Tasmania. We got people everywhere. So please spread the word, share the information up here. It is Memorial Day. It is Sunday Night Live, and it is the Zoo. And Darcy T is checking in with a $50 super chat donation through PayPal. And she's got quite a few things to talk about. But first, Darcy T, an 18-year Glenlivet single malt scotch served up in a pewter.com 250th anniversary Marine Corps shot glass. I got to tell you, thank you, Darcy T. Woo! That's 3 in the first 20 minutes. So I'm tuned up, folks. I'm tuned up. So let's start with Darcy. She is keeping me well informed, well ahead, well abreast of Jim Jones juice information. Brazilian bodybuilder, age 22, Gabriel Ganley. No cause of death provided. Unverified speculation surrounds they're saying he died of hypoglycemia. Age 22, bodybuilder. Really, folks, a bodybuilder dies of low blood sugar. No effing way. No fucking way. You start getting a little, before you get anywhere close to having trouble. Because I used to be hypoglycemic, meaning I had to have a good constant supply of energy because I was so active and burning. And bodybuilders know. You pay attention to your body because that's what you're doing. You're building your body. You're building the muscles, right? You don't mess around. You feel everything. You notice everything, your energy level. There's no way that this guy would run himself so low. You'll run his gas tank so low. It's bullshit. It is, in my opinion, the Jim Jones juice. Once again. Age 33? Now, how about age 41? Kyle Busch, massive NASCAR driver, dies suddenly at age 41. And what we're told there is it's a severe illness. It shouldn't have been severe, but it became ill and it killed him suddenly. Oh, he just won a massive lawsuit against, was it a big pharmacy? You bet. Big pharmacy. Whoops. Anytime you go up against them, you take a chance. Kyle Busch, folks. Now, you would say NASCAR driver, they're all a bunch of fat old men. No, they're not. In order to drive for, 2.5, maybe 3 hours in the car, depending on, yellow flags and all, it's hot. And you're working your ass off, and these guys are super athletes. Now, maybe in the old days, yes. You had your AJ Foyts, you had your I can't remember the names. Fuck, they're slipping my mind. I was thinking of Rick Mears, but he did the Indy cars. But all of these guys, didn't matter what race series, right? Earnhardt, Elliott, Petty. I mean, there's just some amazing drivers that you look at them and you're like, how can these guys do it? They did it because they were athletic, they were strong, and they just didn't die. Oh, it's crazy, folks. It's absolutely crazy what's going on. People dying for no reason. Here's another one from Darcy T. No cause given. Could be heart-related. 19-year-old volleyball player, HBCU, passes away. No cause given. 19-year-old super athlete, young lady, dead. All of this is happening, folks, while right now a pharmaceutical company in the United Kingdom, in Britain, pay attention here, Steve, pay attention here, Bob, right over there, their doctors, their pharmaceutical specialists are trying to use the Jim Jones juice, the COVID vaccine. They're trying to play with it and modify it so it can cure and have a vaccine for Ebola. How about that? Apparently now vaccines used to be specific to polio, rubella, measles, mumps, diptet, right? Everything was very special. Flu vaccine specialized for that year. Now they want this mRNA shit, which reprograms your whole body, your mind, your DNA on the cellular level. It reprograms you. They're just like, oh yeah, it'll work for Ebola. Now, Ebola, folks, it's made it to America a couple of times. It's made it around to other countries a couple of times. It's never taken off. It's never taken off, and that's good. But why not? Because in order for a disease to kill you, you have to have a shitty immune system. So Ebola is really prevalent in the Congo, parts of Africa, because they're poor, they're malnourished, they're unhealthy, and they're living in extremely filthy fucking conditions. So why is it that the British, need to have a vaccine for Ebola when it's not in Britain? Now, the difference, folks, between a treatment and a vaccine is a treatment comes after you get something, but a vaccine you take before you get it so that you won't get it. Right? Follow me here. So in order for you not to get Ebola in England, the United Kingdom, you have to take their vaccine first. Even though Ebola it's not spreading through England, it's not killing people. They just want another excuse to give everyone another shot of their favorite shit that's killing the fuck out of everyone. Good golly. Now, Darcy T says the hooch, meaning Kathy Hochul, the New York governor. Apparently, New York is on life support, not the people, the fucking state itself, right? They're trying to destroy literally the state and the city in New York. So Kathy Hochul, the governor of New York, is declaring that she's not going to back down as a $500 million tax is going to target New York City's ultra-wealthy luxury real estate. They're going to scare people out of New York. And I got to tell you, I don't want those New Yorkers down in Florida or Texas or any other state. They fucked their own state up. They have funded their own deaths, just like California, just like Illinois. We don't want it down here. We don't want them bringing their failed ideas to here. But guess what? They're going to do it. They're going to give the North, folks, not the communists. They're going to give the North, as in the north of the United States of America. They're going to give it to the Muslims. That's who they want to give it to. Look at who is living where they're living. Oh, they want Texas too, by the way. Anyways, let's do this. Thank you very much, Darcy T. We'll get back to you in a bit because right now we got Big Dan the Man with a $2 super chat, buttons up here. And he says, been watching old war movies all weekend in honor of Memorial Day. And I'm glad you did, Big Dan. I myself, I find myself partaking in the war movies. The two most prevalent in my life, of course, are Full Metal Jacket by Stanley Kubrick about Vietnam boot camp, Marine Corps boot camp, and then Vietnam urban warfare with the Marines. And then the other one, of course, is Oliver Stone's classic Platoon with Charlie Sheen and Tom Berenger and many other great actors besides Willem Dafoe is in it. Just amazing because it draws you into, and that was about the Army, the U.S. Army in Vietnam, fighting jungle guerrilla warfare against the Viet Cong. And both those movies came out before I graduated high school and went in the Marine Corps. And they did not scare me. Instead, they excited me. They brought out the feelings of patriotism and a sense of duty. And back then, America was about America still. In the public sector, it was about killing communists and fighting for freedom. It was about destroying tyranny and giving everyone liberty and making sure their rights were upheld. Other movies I like, Kelly's Heroes with Clint Eastwood and Telly Savalas and a whole host of great actors in that one. That was more of a World War II gold rush. A bunch of American soldiers wanting to go steal and get Nazi gold out of a bank behind the lines. But there's a lot of great war movies out there, folks. Good stuff. Let's do this. Thank you, Big Dan. We're going to move on to well, it's none other than Nancy Keg with a $20 super chat donation. And she says, to all the veterans who have passed, your choice of topics, Semper Fi, Mr. John, and Semper Fi, for all those who don't know, it is the Marine Corps motto. It's short for Semper Fidelis, means always faithful. And as a Marine, always faithful to what you know is right in your head, your heart, who you are as a person. Okay, so what topic do we want to talk? Let's see. I got a list of them here. How about this one right here? This is a good one. Gavin Newsom is declaring a state of emergency in Orange County, that's down in LA, because experts are telling him and everyone there's a chemical tank and it could explode. And upon looking, firefighters have found a crack in a chemical tank. Wait, how does a state of emergency exist when there is no emergency, there is no fire, there's no explosion that has happened? We live in a clown world, folks, where the governor wants to declare a state of emergency before anything's happened. I'm starting to think and wonder, were they expecting something to happen? I think they were. I think they were expecting it to explode. He probably signed the state of emergency order and then he's like, oh shit, it hasn't blown up yet. This is crazy, folks. But if I call back to Darcy T and something else she wrote me, she said there is a war in America that is being waged against you and me and all of us, the people. So she says, just in the past few weeks, we have had 2 more explosions and one ready to explode in California. And she's referring to this chemical tank. They declared war on us and our infrastructure, but haven't told us out loud. That's correct. That's correct. Now, it's not just chemicals. It's not just petroleum. It's going after our livestock with ticks, fake bullshit diseases so they can go in and wipe out herds of cows and pig farms and turkey farms and chicken farms and whatever they can do to kill everything and everyone. Right? There was a shipyard blast in New York. There was a lumber mill fire and explosion. We've got problems with these fucking data centers just churning through. And does it really take 5 million, 10 million gallons of water a day to cool off some chips? By chips, I mean computer chips. How much processing needs to happen? I don't think what they say is going on in these data centers is going on in these data centers. How much fucking computer power do we need? 5 years ago, there were no data centers. My internet is no better today than it was then. My internet hasn't improved, folks, for 20 fucking years. Like giving me AI is like kicking me in the balls and saying, you're welcome. You know, it doesn't do me any fucking good, literally, other than being a giant irritation. Okay, anyways, Nancy, yeah, there is literally war on the people by our own government. Our government that has passed laws that violate our Constitution, the Patriot Act, the National Defense Authorization Act, the NDAA. All of their executive orders are in complete and total violation of the Constitution. There is no emergency order. I've looked, folks, from cover all the way through to the back And nowhere does it say emergencies can happen. And in the event of emergency, you just declare an emergency, and then the rest of the Constitution is just out. But we've been operating under a state of emergency, continuous, since Franklin Delano Roosevelt declared a national emergency economic style. And we've been operating under war powers or emergency powers, if you will, and disregarding the Constitution. We've gone from law, a lawful system, a Republican form of government, to policy, policing. Ever since now, because we're operating under an economic emergency special order that has never been rescinded, we operate under policy, not law, which is how they continue to violate the Constitution while giving it lip service and talking about it and pretending it still exists, when they violate it on such a continual basis that it's hard for me to believe that they have any fucking clue what the Constitution is. Anyways, thank you, Nancy. Thank you. And Bob Hunter is back with another £5 super chat donation. And he says, Bill Gates is free. And Dr. Anthony Fauci is clear. I wonder why I cannot hear. I wake in the morning and I hope to find the world I knew when I was a child. Bob, that's fucking heartbreaking, man. It's heartbreaking. Because I know you're probably my age. I'm 56 years old, folks. I was born in 1970. I was a child of the 70s. I was a teenager of the 80s. And I was a young adult of the 90s. And as those things, just growing up, America was a great place. It was a safe place. It was a wonderful place to be, right? The food was always delicious when I was a kid in the 70s and 80s. The music was amazing. Education in school, but you figure out later, teachers don't know shit. They don't know any more than anyone else. They got a book, and education's education is being pushed by people writing the books, and the people writing the books, we've discovered now, 30 years after the fact, are people that want to rewrite history. It's called history revisionism. But the world I knew, if you fucked up, you got your ass beat, your parents still loved you, everything was fine. You learned your lessons. But people weren't killed the way they are today. They weren't poisoned the way they are today. With our food, our air, our water. Medicine is now killing everyone. Literal doctors are fucking killing everyone. I would like to wake in the morning to start with this right here, Bob. Law and order, justice. I'd like to know that the law matters. I'd like to know that there's order in the country. I'd like to know that there's justice for the victims and justice given to people like Fauci and Bill Gates, who walk free, knowing, fucking admitting that they're committing heinous crimes against all of humanity. I want everyone to seriously look up ivermectin and what it does for cancer, fenbendazole and what it does for cancer. They're now showing there are clinical tests where they tested and tested and tested, not just for safety, but for efficacy or doing its job that it says. These anti-parasitic drugs are killing cancer in people. Over 100 years, people have been dying of cancer, and pharmaceutical companies knew about ivermectin many decades before. Many. In fact, before I was born, they had ivermectin. They had all these anti-parasitic drugs, kind of like hydroxychloroquine was developed for malaria, a virus that is spread by mosquito bites in the tropics. And hydroxychloroquine right, helps kill that and helps you live through it. Safe for humans, safe for animals, good for everyone. And guess what? They've been lying about it. I'm sure it does a whole lot more good, folks, than you can imagine. All right, more than I can imagine, I'm sure. I'm not saying it's the cure-all for everything, but fuck. With doctors trying to kill us now, I'm on my own. I hope you are paying attention and learning as well. Because you need, in order to survive what we're going through, you're going to need food, water, shelter. You're going to need clothing, medicine, means of self-defense, and a plan, of course. You've got to have a plan to understand where we're at and what the hell is going on. Thank you, Mr. Hunter. And now we're going to move on to our good friend Davey D with a $35.70 super chat donation. He says his post was blocked, but cheers to your war chest. Thank you, Davey D. And folks, everyone knows Davey D, or you should, just right here, 357. He's a big fan of the 357, and so am I. I've got my grandfather's highway patrol model. He was a California highway patrolman back in the 50s, and he carried that with a clamshell holster, which you push a button, and the whole holster flies apart, and you just come right up with a pistol. Love it. It is now the holster in the hands of my son, Lucas. It's been passed on now to a fourth generation from my granddad. Anyways, he also has granddad's 30-30 lever action rifle, beautiful old Winchester. But war chest, right? 357. I got that, and then I've got my own Smith & Wesson 686 with a 6-inch barrel, silhouette sights, which are target shooting sights, a very, very, very well done trigger. And folks, in the event that we have a domestic war, I will probably be looking a lot like Schwarzenegger in Commando with all of this stuff strapped to me. It's funny. One time I did that. You guys know the movie Commando? Everyone know that Commando, where he goes onto the island to go rescue his daughter, and he's strapping grenades and knives and buttons and flak jacket and all this crazy shit, right? Cocking rifles and shotguns and just working on everything. And then he throws it over his shoulder and he's gonna carry it in. And I did that once and I could barely walk. With a shotgun with my bandolier loaded up and combat load of magazines. It was so heavy, and flak jacket on. I couldn't do a single pull-up. I had to be carrying 120 pounds of gear. Anyways, here we are, folks. Thank you, Davey D. You are the man. Be prepared, be cool, be safe. Watch your six. Period. The world we live in is a dangerous one, my friends. Dangerous. And it's not going to get a whole lot better. We're 45 minutes into the show, and guess what? Thepreparedmind.club is where you can go to get prepared, because you're going to need food. I recommend getting long-term food storage. You can get dehydrated meat. You can get your starches, corn, wheat, beans. You can get rice, right? You can get all that. You can also get vegetables that are freeze-dried, so they last 25 years, right? It doesn't have to be something that you have to eat in a year. But if you want to buy food, I'm going to tell you again, buy food is an investment, because inflation is going to go even higher. I do not think or believe it can be avoided at this point. They've done too much damage to everything in the world. So, anyways, that's the club. But now we're going to go on to, you got it, Robin G with a $50 super chat donation. And everyone knows, and if you don't know now, well, share that internet address up there. That makes the channel grow. We're on YouTube. We have a second channel on YouTube. Between the two of them, they have 85,000 subscribers. We've got Ooman on X. We've got Rumble. We got BitChute. We've got, I think we've got somewhere on Instagram. That's Jolene handles that. Facebook. We've got subscribestar.com. And, of course, our premium channel, thepreparedmind.club. I'm glad to have you all here. Glenlivet, 18 years, single malt Scotch. And I have to admit, I'm kind of partial to Glenlivet and Glenfiddich. Not to say that the other Scotches of the world aren't great, but I just happen to be partial to these. Not only are they amazingly delicious and distinct from one another, they're also consistent and readily available everywhere. Anyways, Robin, thank you for the great donation, supporting the channel. And we have a lot to talk about, folks. We got a lot to talk about. It's just so good and smooth. God bless the Scots. I'm telling you, folks. So Robin says, thank you to all veterans. And Robin says, I say everyone should befriend a vet. They are loaded with knowledge the layperson can never know. They are loyal to the core. I'm happy to say my daughter and son-in-law finally finished their service and are moving back home. Well, I'm glad, number one, Robin, they served. Number two, I'm glad that they are home and coming home and that they're healthy and alive and well. Now, with respect to what Robin says about veterans, the veterans that I meet here in Florida, the veterans that I know in California, and wherever I've met them around the world, they're great people, right? They understand patriotism. Now, I know there are a lot of Democrats in the military, and I know that now these days there's a lot of fucking communists that are in there, and I don't appreciate that. But still, veterans, I think you can figure out if they are truly American, truly loyal to our government, the Constitution, or should I say a constitutional form of government, but they're loyal to the people above all. And I say that with a high degree of confidence because I did not join the Marine Corps as a silly, ridiculous teenager with stars in his eyes, having watched war movies and talked to my family members that served. My grandfather, both grandfathers served. You know, my uncle did 2 tours in Vietnam, right? That just right that. But I went because I wanted to protect my countrymen, the American people. I wanted to protect them from what I knew evil was. Because even as a teenager, I had learned enough about communism to know what it was and how it operated. And, you know, years later, you figure out all of the nitty gritty, the politics, the history, the psychology, all the bullshit behind communism, the sneaky little tricks, the backstabbing, the fucking lying, the murder, the mass murder, the genocide committed by communists, right? So I knew I could never let that come to America. Never let it come to America. That's the loyalty. Now, knowledge, wisdom, experience. Yeah, veterans have a unique perspective on life because after they get out of the service, whether they've served 4 years or 40, they're still Americans and they know more than just the military. So I think that we tend to apply a lot of what we learned while in service, getting our asses kicked and chewing on mud. You apply it to what you know out here. And in fact, there's a line in Platoon where the Charlie Sheen character is talking to Keith David. And Keith David, he's been in a lot of great movies. But he says, all you got to do is survive Vietnam. And every day after that is gravy. And this is about Vietnam, which was the 1960s into the early 70s. And so when you left Vietnam, if you survived the Nam, right, you come back to America, you put up with some people throwing tomatoes and shit at you, calling you a baby killer. And then you live the American dream from that point on. It's not that way anymore. It's not that good anymore. It just isn't that good anymore. You come out of the service now, and you come back into the civilian world, and it is fucked up. Absolutely fucked up. It is. I mean, it's nearly impossible. It's nearly impossible to go through a day without seeing absolute, bona fide, concrete evidence that people are trying to destroy this fucking country. Anyways, Robin, thank you for the great donation. I really appreciate it. We got a lot more to talk about. But yes, I'm going to have to agree with you. Befriend a vet. You're going to have an ally, a loyal friend. And and especially the older guys, they know all kinds of crazy shit. Because as we move forward through history, from history before us to the present, information is lost. Propaganda changes. They're trying to condition us to believe something completely different about the world we live in. And those old fucks, and as old a fuck as I am at 56, there's older guys and girls. They know how it was before. They saw it, they saw the 70s. I saw it as a young kid. They saw it as an adult. They saw the 60s as an adult. Some of them even saw the 50s as adults, folks. Those people are still around. And they'll tell you a thing or two about how the world really works and what really the fuck is going on. In any event, Robin, thank you so very much for being a great supporter of the channel. She's here, by the way, Robin, Monday through Friday, because she's at thepreparedmind.club as a premium member. $2 a month. You're here Monday through Friday live with me. But it is Sunday Night Live, and let's do it. Now we got Viking checking in from the Great White North with a $20 super chat donation. And what does he want to talk about? He says, now that the government has endorsed the UFO UAP, and you've got UAF there. Could that be something they call them in Canada? Anyways, it went from unidentified flying object to UAP, unidentified aerial phenomena. Oh, that's where your phenomena starts with an F. That's cool. The government has endorsed or admitted the existence of, and the so-called aliens, right? They're not flying themselves around. Some's piloting them. Anyways, Viking says, watch what happens. There's 4 types, and he's referring to aliens. 4 types of aliens. Insectoid, reptilian, gray, and nomadic or tall whites, the Northmen, the Nordics, I think is probably the most common way. They look just like, like me. They're Nordics. But those are the 4 types of aliens, the 4 main types. Viking says they discovered Noah's Ark. That's why they're revealed. Now, this is an interesting comment coming from you. Yes, the government, the United States government, is the one I hear the most shit from. They're trying to say, yeah, there's aliens and UAPs and UFOs and everything else. But they're not telling us about the reptilians or the insectoids. The insectoids are they look like mantises, praying mantises. And the grays are those little bastards with big eyes, and they're really small and whatever. And the Nordics look just like us. But the reptilians, those are the ones that are also the shapeshifters. Anyways, I've been reading about these alien types since the 1990s, folks. And everything they talked about back then is starting to, reveal itself now. It's an important topic because it's being talked about. At the same time, we've got the Epstein files and an invasion by Muslims, an attack on our banking system, and a war with Iran. And the Epstein files again, and a war in Ukraine, and the Epstein files again. And fuck it, there's aliens. We got to get people to stop talking about Epstein and noticing the Israelis and what they're doing and what the Israelis are saying, how they want to kill you for being civilized and non-Jewish. Mostly, they identify us white people. But that includes Hispanics and Asians and blacks. You're like, but we're not white, man. Doesn't matter. If you're civilized, They're going to fucking kill you. They want low IQ, uncivilized mongrels who are mostly Muslim because they're easy to control. Period. They know how to control them. You just kill them until they behave. But they can definitely wind up the Muslims to come after the whites or the West and civilization. That's what they're doing, folks. We're noticing, and so they're revealing the aliens to us. Now, Noah's Ark. I think it is up on Mount Hermon, or Mount Hermon, if you will, over there in, is it Syria? I think it's Syria. Or is it Lebanon? Anyways, it's a big, giant, tall mountain, and there's this thing on the side of the mountain, and they've known about it for decades, folks. And they've speculated and said it's Noah's Ark. But there's quite a bit of crazy shit going on up there in that area. The Muslims have always said there's jinn up there. D-J-I-N-N. And that's the jinn is the Muslim word for it. And what we call them is genies. They're mysterious beings that are made of smoke and fire. And they're interdimensional beings, if you will. And they appear to have magical powers, kind of like the genie gives you 3 wishes. When you release it from its, you can say it's prison, whether it's a lantern or a pot, a kettle, whatever the device, the ark that it's been stored in. Anyways, there's a lot of jinn activity up there. There's a lot of magical weird shit up there. There's a lot of interdimensional crap up there. So this site, this location where Noah's Ark is said to be resting. It's not Mount Horeb, is it? No, I think that's where Moses went and got his 10 commandments. Anyways, I believe it is Mount Hermon. Crazy world, folks. But I think that the pre-Adamite civilization and races of beings are all entombed in ice in Antarctica. I think that there's a lot going on in Antarctica. There's just a whole lot that needs to be revealed, is going to be revealed, and it's a crazy, crazy fucking world. The best thing to do, be fully prepared. Because it doesn't matter, folks, if it's a hurricane or an earthquake or a tornado or a flood or an EMP or a comet or a giant asteroid, or I'm going through all of the SHTF creating massive scenarios, right? Fuel is turned off, power is turned off, cyber attack on banking, complete collapse of the government, invasion by another country, nuclear missiles going off. It doesn't matter what happens. The same preps, the same things you need are always there. You always need what we have at the preparedmind.club, including communications equipment, which means radios, CBs, walkie-talkies, ham, shortwave radio. You can get world band, whatever it takes to hear and listen and maybe even communicate. Things go bad. Plus, you're going to need to charge that, power it up. So solar power, batteries, backup, it's all there at the club. Let's roll on, if we can, to Rooster Cogburn with a $2 super chat donation. And he says, Lindsey Graham loves Gabe owners. That's a good one. Took me a second. I'm like, Gabe. I know a guy named Gabe. Lindsey Graham loves gay boners. That's what Lindsey Graham loves. Gay boners. Lindsey Graham is now mad at President Trump because he's pushing for peace. He's trying to make peace. He's trying to make peace. Well, guess who else is mad at President Trump over peace? None other than that rhino sack of shit out of Texas, Ted Cruz. So Ted Cruz's dad was a fucking Cuban communist who moved to Canada, had Ted. Ted moves down into America, into Texas, becomes a Texas senator, who then is a giant fucking shill for Israel, and he wants war and says he's in Congress, in the United States Senate, to serve Israel's interests. How the fuck he's not been taken out of office by hook or by crook or any means that is weird. But Ted Cruz wants prolonged attack. He wants more wars. And he's going after Trump for seeking peace, trying to make a deal. Ted Cruz, like that little fruitcake, light in the loafers, Lindsey Graham, right? They hate Trump. They always hated Trump. It's not like this is new. It's just Trump was doing what they wanted to do. Trump was doing what Israel wants to do, so everyone's happy. So now Trump is pushing to get some peace. And let me tell you why. See, it's important to understand the why. So you don't go and think Trump is now trying to be the peace president again. Trump got my email. Thanks, dude. You finally see the light. Peace, good. War, bad. Strait of Hormuz, open, good. Strait of Hormuz, closed, bad. High prices, bad. Low prices, good. Right? It's not like Trump finally fucking listened to us. It's just he needs lower gas prices. He needs inflation minimized. It's already out of control. But he needs to minimize the damage, or Democrats are going to win this November in the midterm elections. And as soon as they take office with the House of Representatives, they will impeach Trump for the third time. And if, folks, and I'm saying if with a big fucking question mark, if the Democrats take the Senate, they can impeach him in the House, try him in the Senate, and remove him from office. He'll be a 3-time fucking impeachment loser and removed from office. Already Trump is struggling, in my opinion, for his legacy. His legacy. How will we remember him as his legacy? I'm going to remember him as the man who promised us everything and did the opposite. He gave us more war, not peace. He didn't remove all the illegal aliens. He said they were good guys and we need them, and he left them in the country. He said he was going to release the Epstein files, and there were many, 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 many times that he tweeted that on X, on Twitter, talking about how they need to be released. But whoops, as soon as he gets in office, he says, well, my friends are in there and I don't want them to get hurt. And enough was released because Representative Thomas Massey forced the release, and we got some of them. We learned that Trump himself is in those files, in pictures and videos with Epstein, with his wife, with other people. And we discovered that it's more than just pedophilia. As many of us knew, there is also this adrenochrome issue, the harvesting of blood from children after they're terrorized, so the blood is full of adrenaline. And we learned that they hunt the children, which explains what? The red shoes, the Red Shoe Club, meaning hunting humans for sport. And then, of course, eating them, sacrificing them. These are some sick fucking people, and Trump is tied to it. His legacy can only be salvaged if he can stay in office, serve his money masters well, and rewrite the history books. The same way they rewrote the history books about World War II, my friends, where they said, oh, it was a sneak attack by the Japanese on Pearl Harbor in Hawaii. They knew about it, folks. They knew about it. They had radio communications. They knew the Chinese or the Japanese fleet was coming. They had an old, dilapidated naval group there in Pearl Harbor and in Oahu. And they had a brand new fleet of ships that they wanted to bring online and bring out of San Diego, and they did. Right? But they rewrote the history books. It was a surprise attack. No one knew it was coming. It was on a Sunday. I get it. But here we are, folks. Trump needs lower gas prices, inflation minimized, or he's fucked. So Lindsey Graham is now attacking Trump as he seeks to end the war in Iran to save his own hide. Well, folks, something about weaving webs and getting caught in their own deception, right? And Lindsey Graham has taken off all masks and shown us who he is. He is a feminized, light in the loafers fruitcake who wants war, and he serves Israel every chance he gets. There's never been a military action that Lindsey Graham wouldn't vote for, right? But it's crazy. You know, him, Ted Cruz also, right? He's mad, Ted Cruz, about Israel first traitor, right? That's what he is, right? And he's mad about Trump wanting peace. Surprise, folks. The fact is, Trump can do whatever he wants. But the fact is, if Israel wants more war with Iran, they will bomb Iran on their own. And the U.S. military has been told, it's part of the program of the U.S. military is to try and protect our allies in the Middle East, guaranteeing we get oil and we get oil cheap in exchange for military protection from the United States Navy, Air Force, Army, Marines. All Israel has to do is bomb Iran on their own. Iran's going to respond by bombing the shit out of everyone in the region, and the U.S. military is going to be there to, well, do nothing. Because, well, the best they can do is bomb Iran back, which means we stay in the conflict, which is the opposite of what Trump wants and Trump needs. Trump needs peace. He needs lower oil. He needs free-flowing oil. He needs America to support him. They need to believe that Trump is the man he says he is. So he's got a lot of changing to do between now and Election Day. And Ted Cruz doesn't like it. Light in the loafers, Lindsey Graham doesn't like it. Well, fuck Light in the loafers, Lindsey Graham. That's what I have to say about it. Rooster Cogburn, thank you, sir. Appreciate it much. We're going to go back to Big Bob Hunter in Scotland with a 5-pound note coming this way. He gets the hat trick right out the gate here. We're just over an hour into the show, folks. Share the internet address or hit the share button down below. Email, text, message. Well, you can call people on the phone, right? Send a fax, carrier pigeon, smoke signal. It doesn't matter, right? Tell people to watch this show. There's so much we talk about that is applicable. It matters. It matters. Got a whiff of the scotch, and I was like, did I forget to drink one? Sadly, no. Anyways, Bob's back. He says, quote, I only regret that I have but one life to lose for my country, end quote. That was Nathan Hale in 1755. Oh, he lived from 1755 to 1776. Prior to his execution by the British for spying. And he died, I believe, executed 22 September of 1776. I only regret that I have but one life to lose for my country. That's incredible, is it not? Absolutely fucking incredible. The guts those fucking men had back then. They pledged their lives, their families, and their fortunes on the premise, the belief that all men are created equal and should live free. Right? John Paul Jones, he created the U.S. Navy. In my book, he is the reason we have a U.S. Navy that works and thinks and operates the way it does, as well as the Marine Corps. Right? John Paul Jones, right, said, I have not yet begun to fight. He kicked the fuck out of the bad guys, folks. He took the fight all the way across the ocean back to England and terrorized them in England. So they had to have a good deal of the British Navy stay in England, patrol the coast of England to make sure England was safe from the renegade Americans. And the British Navy, my friends, was the power. It really was the power. Right? When the Spanish Armada fucking destroyed themselves like a bunch of fucking idiots, they lost their world empire status, and it went over to the British for a long time. But yeah, there were a lot of great patriots that fought, and there are great quotes out there, folks. We're going to have that again. And I believe that England will have their heroes. Scotland will have their heroes. Ireland are going to have their heroes. Australia, Canada, France are going to have their heroes again. But sadly and unfortunately, because the powers that be, because they want what they want. They want world domination, and they want to destroy everything that you and I, that we all hold dear. Because of that, there's going to have to be an incredible killing, an incredible culling of the dregs of humanity, the intellectual vagrants, the political retards, the evil religious types. They're all going to end up getting killed in this mess. And that mess, I hope, the mess that dies, I hope includes the World Economic Forum, the ruling elite, the bastardly and inbred aristocracy, as well as the religious vagrants out there that believe they're chosen and they get to kill everyone else, that we're just cattle compared to them. They're all a bunch of fucking rats and snakes. I mean, President Andrew Jackson called the bankers a den of vipers, and he routed them out. But we're not done fighting yet, folks. We have not yet begun to fight, sadly and unfortunately. Thank you again, Big Bob Hunter. And now we got Big Dan the Man checking in with another $5 super chat. He gets the hat trick for the night as well on this Memorial Day special Zoo SHTF Live. And Big Dan says the first 20 minutes of the movie Saving Private Ryan would have been SHTF big time for those brave young men at Omaha Beach, the D-Day invasion. Nasty. Now, I don't promote a lot of other channels. I just don't. There's so many to choose from. But there's one channel that covers veterans and war. Not some of it's battles, but most of it's individuals. Individuals from either Vietnam, Korean War, World War II, World War I, even back to the Revolutionary War. I want you to listen carefully. This channel is called The Fat Electrician. And he has some outstanding, amazing, in-depth videos. And this comment from you, Big Dan, brought it up. And if you go watch The Fat Electrician, go to his website, his YouTube channel, and you can look at all the different, I mean, he's got a couple of hundred videos he's done. His first one started out 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Then he got up to 20 minutes, 25, 30 minutes, and more, covering specific individuals, specific battles. And if you want to learn about D-Day, he's got several D-Day videos. He's got fucked up enlisted men, fucked up officers that did everything it took to win a war and defeat evil, defeat the enemy, if you will. And it's amazing. He does a great job of going into the history and writing it out. And he's very entertaining to boot. He's a very entertaining guy. I recommend it highly. If you watch his videos, put in the messages, comment section, the Prepared Mind sent me. I think he'll appreciate that. Anyways, D-Day was a massive invasion of British and American forces on the shores of northern France. Right, they had to come across the channel and land, and the Germans had fortified that. Erwin Rommel, the Desert Fox, the German commander, set everything up. It was incredible. The defenses were just incredible. At that time, we had Werner von Braun of NASA fame was bombing the ever-loving shit out of London and England from Peenemünde with his missiles, his V1 and V2 rockets. And you just had an incredible military machine and a showdown. And paratrooping was a big deal, right? Paratroopers. They cover the Pacific Theater as well, folks. not just the European theater, but the D-Day videos he did are just crazy. The details and the bravery and the heart that those men showed, the ingenuity and the don't give a fuckedness. And the reason I'm pushing this, especially on Memorial Day, and thank you, Big Dan, the reason I'm talking about this is when you listen to these videos, you're going to hear about some people with so much fucking grit. It is unbelievable, the guts they have, the not give a fuck. Let's just get it done, and how they did it. One of my favorites is McNasty. That fucking guy was crazy, right? But then it also goes into Chesty Puller, World War II, and then the Korean War. It is absolutely incredible. The Fat Electrician on YouTube, highly recommended to get your military, shall we say, fix. And when you listen to the stories, the reports, the facts about what these men did to protect our country and to fight for liberty and freedom for everyone in the world, even though we've all been deceived, we've been lied to, they've changed history, these stories will let you know how easy it will be and how difficult. It'll be difficult to defeat the evil, and it's easy to see how evil thinks it can win because it doesn't understand. It doesn't understand the fighting man's mind. Thank you, Big Dan. Appreciate it. Now we're going to go over back to Bob Hunter. Big Bob Hunter up in Scotland with Puss. And he says, my favorite movie, John, is Whiskey Galore, February 5th, 1941. A ship named the SS Politician ran aground and sank off the coast of Eriskay in the Outer Hebrides of Scotland. 250,000 bottles of Scotch whiskey. Woo! That sounds a lot like the Scottish version, the Scottish version of Kelly's Heroes. Oh boy, there was another movie, Bob. It was called The Race for the Yankee Zephyr, and it had another title it went by called The Search for the Yankee Zephyr. The Race or The Search. There's two of them. Had two different names. Came out in the 80s, and it was about a bomber that landed, I think, down in New Zealand or Australia. I can't remember which. But some old drunkard found the plane. He got a couple of medals off the plane and a couple of bottles of whiskey because he was a drunkard. Anyways, he made it back to civilization, sold the medals. The medals made it to some soldiers of fortune. They learned about these medals and they wanted to find it. So they were racing to get back to the medals and the whiskey that were sunk, or I'm sorry, on this crash landed aircraft called the Yankee Zephyr. Bloomin' Zephyr, right? Anyways, great movie. Bob, thank you, sir. That's great. I got to check that movie out if I can find it here in the good old United States of America. Whiskey Galore. Folks, I got to tell you, now, one of my first videos early on, I believe, and it's been erased by YouTube, and I apologize. I cannot pull it up. I did about somewhere between a 10 and 15-minute video on salt and whiskey, or salt and alcohol, if you will. The value of salt. Without salt, you will die. You need salt. It makes food taste good. It keeps you hydrated. Without it, you'll fucking die. You can drink water all day long and you'll dehydrate. You won't be able to hold the water in you if you don't have proper saline salt. And then whiskey or scotch or bourbon or vodka or tequila, if you will, right? Whiskey, it's funny. Here we are, a ship named the SS Politician. It's full of whiskey because that is part of SHTF. It can clean out wounds. It is a sedative. It is a painkiller. It's an antidepressant. It's a way to make friends. Anyways, folks, what a great fucking show. Thank you, Big Bob. Share that internet address up top. It's up top. That one up there. Share that or hit the share button down below. If you want to get on the channel and you want to talk, there's the super chat button right up there. That'll get you on the screen like Big Bob here. or you can go to Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal, and that will also get you on the air. So, Mr. Bob, thank you, sir. And we're going to move on to Courageous Cat. Good golly, with a $50 super chat. Bam! Thank you. And yes, John clearly wants some more scotch on Memorial Day with all of you, my friends, my countrymen. And I may even go so far as to say we all have souls that speak to each other. They just do. Anyways, Courageous, let me pour this guy right here into this beautiful 250th anniversary shot glass made by www.pewter.com, Heritage Pewter. Anyways, Courageous, I brought this little thing up about souls and knowing someone else. Have you ever met someone? Either someone you heard about, someone you've never even met, but you just feel this bond, right? You just feel connected instantly. It happens to me frequently. And you guys are a big freaking part of that. They just really are. You just know. And I meet them in person too, folks. Some people I meet and I go, that guy's a fucking snake in the grass, piece of shit, wouldn't turn my back on him or trust him with with 2 bits, 50 cents, right? And then other people I meet, I'm like, good golly, I trust this person with my life. I ran into a jarhead the other day or several weeks ago. Didn't know he was a jarhead till he saw a shirt I was wearing. And he looks at me and says, Semper Fi, and he kept walking. I said, you get back here. We're going to talk. Right? Anyways, man, thank you, Courageous Cat. Salute. Cheers. Prost. Down the hatch. Thank you. Oh, yeah. Definitely. Definitely mother's milk. You didn't put a comment down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do one for you. And I think this one kind of goes, I think you'll enjoy it. MS Now, which used to be MSNBC, but all those MS channels suck ass. So they changed MSNBC to MS Now. That channel, the people, the hosts, were absolutely appalled because a Republican Senate candidate said these words, quote, "It's not a sin to be white." He said that in an anti-DEI campaign ad. So DEI is diversity, equity, inclusion. This Republican Senate candidate said it's not a sin to be white, meaning we're sick of this diversity. You have to have Hindus. You have to have Africans. You have to have Arabs. You have to have this, Pakistanis. You have to have all these worthless fucking people, right? And he's done with it. Equity. Equity means fairness, not equality. It means fairness. But who decides what's fair? And inclusion means you have to let everyone play. Your fruitcakes, your trannies, your cross-dressers, your retards, your fucking out and in your face faggots, all of them. Okay. No, when I grew up, there was no diversity in the world I lived in. It was kill or be killed. And I don't mean that in a literal sense as a child. But if you wanted to play in sports, there was no diversity, there was no equity, there was no inclusion. You had to compete. In the classroom, if you wanted to get and earn special privilege, you had to compete. You had to answer the questions. You had to do the reports. You had to have the answer. You had to do well in class. There is no DEI, which favors the weak and the incapable. Anyways, MS Now did not like that shit. So we are now in the phase, I have to say, of SHTF, shit hitting the fan, where regular Americans are expected to betray their own values to allow themselves to be replaced and to submit to our own deaths by retards. Now, remember when there was the Black Lives Matter? I don't remember in my life ever saying Black lives don't matter. But as soon as someone said white lives matter, whoa, you can't say that. As if that made Black Lives Matter less important. Now, to be upset at someone 5-6 years later, upset at someone for saying it's not a sin to be white. What does that demonstrate? To me, it demonstrates that communists, anti-Americans, evil fucks, Satanists believe it's a sin to be white. And therefore, and by the way, once again, to me, white means civilized, well-educated, behaved, and, civilized. The communists believe it's a sin to be white and civilized. And therefore, we, all of us, are evil to them. To them, we're evil. And therefore deserving of murder. Oh, and rape too. Again, I have to ask this question. How long until the violence really ramps up? To say it's not a sin, as in it's not bad to be white. He didn't say have white pride. Be proud to be white. White power, right? Now, blacks can hold that hand up. These, if you remember the Olympics in the 60s, right? Blacks hold their hand up, black power. You're like, okay, cool, dude. You're powerful. You're a good runner. Gotcha. Right? You're good at basketball. You're good at football. You're good at philosophy. Whatever you're good at, good. Black power. But white power, oh, shit. Can't say that. If you're going to raise your hand, raise it straight up. Don't you dare raise your hand out this way because, well, that's a Hitler salute. Look out. It's not a sin to be white, right? Again, how long until the violence really ramps up? It's going to, because they're pushing it. What are we seeing now? We're seeing judges releasing rapists and murderers and thieves because they are minorities or foreigners or underprivileged or just fucking retarded. In fact, many of them get released and they don't get anything charged on them because, well, they don't understand American or British culture or European culture. And they have a very low IQ. So they don't understand what they did wrong. But as far as I'm fucking concerned, these people are a threat and a risk to all society. Everyone. And when you're a dangerous, violent risk to society, you're not supposed to get out. You're supposed to be institutionalized, even if you're too fucking dumb and incompetent to realize what you've done is wrong. And if you're from another fucking country, you should be deported back to where you came from, where your IQ is normal, where your understanding of that culture is you fuck up, they cut your hands off, or you're dick, and you're done, right? But the good part of this story, and thank you, Courageous Cat, a Senate candidate in the United States of America is using the proper terminology to expose the coming madness, and we need to be prepared. That's basically what he's saying. It's not a sin to be white and civilized. It's not a sin. Don't make excuses. But since he's being attacked, we're also learning we all need to be prepared because what they're doing is not going to go away. Northern Pike checking in. Woohoo! Good to hear from you, brother. $2 super chat. And in 2011, Trump received his 33-degree "You are wrong" on Donald J. Trump. I could be wrong on Donald J. Trump. But what I want to say is this. A lot of people are still telling me Donald Trump is playing 3D, 4D, 5D chess with the world. He's actually fooling Israel into exposing who Israel is. So the world sees who Israel is. And so the world sees who the World Economic Forum is. So the world sees who the bankers, the cartels are. I want you, Mr. Northern Pike, to be right. Because if you are right, that Donald J. Trump is 100% all-American, not fucking us over, if that's the case, I will be the first in line to say he was so good, so smart, so well played. Where we go one, we go all. Just amazing. I can't fucking believe it. Thank you, Donald Trump, for putting up with all the criticisms. But as it stands, As it stands, Donald Trump told us, me, you, all of us, we're wrong. And he doesn't fucking need us. And we need to shut up and go away and stop talking about the Epstein files. That's where I know I'm right, because he said those things. And they are bombing children and bombing civilian sites. And they're giving missiles and weapons to Ukraine. And they're giving intelligence, satellite information, technology to fight the Russians. And they just bombed a fucking Russian college dormitory. And they're killing children and young adults. There's no way that I can look at those deaths and say, that's completely acceptable because we're playing 3D chess. And now, again, I love that Lindsey Graham is exposing himself. I love that Turtles McConnell and John Toon and Johnson and all these fuckheads in Congress are exposing who they are. And I'm glad we're seeing that AIPAC, the America-Israeli Political Pedophile Action Committee, I love that they are showing us who is willing to sell this country out. The problem I have with all this is it's hard to believe that we're playing some sort of American game when you and I as Americans are fucking losing at every turn. There are thousands, if not tens of thousands of American children and Children International that are being exploited by pedophiles of the highest order socioeconomically, from royalty like Prince Andrew to the business world, Bill Gates, to politics, none other than Trump himself being part of the Epstein files, mentioned thousands of times. Okay. Now, when this first came out, I was like, yeah, Trump says that he found out that he's a pedophile and he got rid of him and this and that. And I believed it until the Epstein files that were released and showed and demonstrated that they stayed friends. And then we learned a lot about Melania and where she came from. We learned an awful lot about these people, folks. It's hard to believe that I am wrong about Donald J. Trump. As far as his 33rd degree, I do not know to what you refer, other than the 33rd degree of Scottish Rite Freemasonry or York Rite Freemasonry might be part of what you're referring to. But I don't know that Donald J. Trump is a Mason or a Freemason, free and accepted or ancient free and accepted. I don't know. Or maybe he's Masonic in some other country. I've never heard that. But the Masons I know of, let me give you a couple of names. George Washington, John Hancock, Samuel Adams, right? I believe like 95% of the signers of the Declaration of Independence were Masons. They wanted freedom and liberty, self-governance, separation from king, separation from nobility, so we could live as free people, equal amongst each other, equal in the sight of God, equal in rights, equal in authority, that no one was given preferential treatment. We are all subject to the same law. Today, Donald J. Trump, and let me give you this, Northern Pike, and you know I love you, man, and I appreciate the topic. Just the other day, Trump gave himself and his family lifetime exemption from Internal Revenue Service audits. If I had exemption from any audits, guess what I wouldn't fucking do? I would never fucking pay taxes again, because they couldn't audit me. And if I was doing what they're doing, insider trading, market manipulation, that all of Washington, D.C., all of New York is doing to the benefit of themselves and to the detriment of everyday Americans who don't have insider information and can't trade ahead of everyone else. They can't place a bet or place a trade order on Wall Street, then release amazing news. The war's over, right? Which means oil prices come down. So if you bet on oil prices going down, you win. Or you bet oil prices are going up and you announce to the world because you're the president or in Congress and you say, we're going to fight some more, and they start bombing and the oil price goes up and they make their billions of dollars again. You and I don't have that. We're seeing evidence of Donald Trump doing that. We're seeing evidence of Congress and the Senate doing that. the insiders, the cabinet members, the bureaucracy in Washington, D.C., they all know what's coming and happening. And they're betting on it. Even Pete Hegseth at the Pentagon knew what was coming down and what was going on with war efforts, so he too could bet. He knows what weapons systems they want. And of course, Trump's sons, I believe Barron and Donald. No, it's Donald Jr. and Eric. They just happened to buy a militarized drone company, and whoops, they just got a huge national contract from the government. It's disgusting. Maybe you wrote "you're wrong" on Donald J. Trump, and you meant to write something else. I don't know. But any way you look at it, it's a great topic to discuss, and I appreciate it. And all of us will not see perfectly and agree perfectly with each other. But what it does allow us to do here, without jumping down each other's throats, making massive accusations, right, is to have a civilized discussion about the facts, which is why you guys all have the opportunity to bring up your opinions and your facts and your ideas and thoughts. And I love it. It's an absolutely fabulous show. Thank you, sir, Mr. Northern Pike. And now we're going to move on to Big Dan the Man. And he is from the Northwest up in the great state of Washington. He says, I would give a $50 super chat this year, but helping my 86-year-old mom out financially. Semper Fi, and I would like to meet you sometime, young man. First off, Dan, you do amazing amounts of help for all of us. You participate. You're here all through the week. That's what matters to me most, brother. Thank you. Super chats are great. You've done a lot of $50 super chats. I appreciate every last one of them in the past. And I know, and I recall that your mother has some health issues. And if you're in your 60s, that puts her likely in her 80s. And I wish her the very best. I do. I hope that she recovers her health and gets to live another solid 20 years into the future to see where this all takes us. In any event, Big Dan, as far as meeting sometime, I'm really thinking, I don't want to do I want to do a world tour, but I can't because of my job and my own personal family obligations locally in the state of Florida now. I'm trying to get as much of my family to move into the area. But I'm wondering if we shouldn't do like a prepared mind cruise. And not on a carnival, that's for fucking sure. No fucking carnival, but I've always enjoyed Jimmy Buffett's music. And apparently now there's a Margaritaville cruise line that's under Jimmy Buffett. It's supposed to be extremely reasonable, and they're fun. I think that that might be a good way to meet people and to hang out for a few days and just have a good time. It'd be fun. It'd be crazy, but that way I could meet a lot of people. And again, I think like a 3-day cruise or a 4-day cruise for 2 people is about $1,000. That includes room and port fees and daily fees. I looked into it today out of curiosity. They've got 3, 4, and 5-day cruises out of different parts of Florida. And they got several ships. It might be fun. It might be a way to do it. And if anyone were to try and take the cruise to interfere with us, to give us a hard time, they might find themselves getting totally fucking fucked up and end up in the brig for being asshats on a cruise line. In any event, folks, I think it would be a great way. And hopefully someday that can happen. We'll find out. What we've got to do, though, is we've got to make it. We've got to see some sort of fucking light at the end of the tunnel. Something, right, in all the darkness that's coming at us full blast. I sure hope to see that. All right, let us continue. Dan, thank you again, sir. And now we're going to move on to Viking is back with his second big shot, another $20 super chat donation. And he says, NATO countries would rather go, it's not our war. Meanwhile, they'd rather commit to bringing in hordes of Islamists instead of helping to take down the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps. That's the IRGC, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps. I tell you, with respect to Iran, NATO doesn't want anything to do with it. The people that want the war with Iran, namely and most namely Israel and the United States, would love to have all of Europe involved in it, but Europe doesn't want much to do with it. Europe is seeing their oil reserves shrinking. Europe is seeing their energy prices going up, not just because of Iran and Israel, but because of their fight with fucking Russia through Ukraine. It was supposed to be a quick win. Didn't happen. It didn't happen in Ukraine, or rather the eastern Ukraine, which literally voted to leave Ukraine and become part of the Russian Federation. They're breakaway states of Ukraine. Now, with respect to what NATO does want, well, NATO doesn't want it, but the European Union, which is the political arm of Europe, and NATO is the military arm of Europe, the European Union wants hordes, and I think that's a great word, of Islamists, Mohammedans. They seem to want them in their countries. And look, it is more than empathetic suicide, which is a term I keep reading as of late. Oh, it's empathetic suicide. They're killing themselves by bringing. It's not the people. The people don't want that. It's the politicians. And see, politicians. Look, we've got 400. Let's just call it 500 senators and congressmen. I know it's more than that, but we're gonna use a nice round number. 500 men and women representing 350 million Americans. So you divide 50 or 500 into 350 million. Let's do the fucking math on that. And I'm going to give you the percentage of representation by ratio. Okay, so we've got 500. Let's just do this right. It's 435 and 100 senators. So 535 divided by 350 million. A representative represents 1 in 100,000 people. Basically, one representative represents 100,000 people. Europe is very similar in their ratios. Very similar in their ratios. How can one person represent the interests of 100,000 people? Now, I don't want Congress, my friends, to have 100,000 members, all making $175,000 a year, all getting a lifetime retirement, lifetime medical, lifetime, right? I don't want that. But how can 535 people represent 350 million? Same with Europe. So you see, if you need to buy a government, I can buy control of 100,000 people. By what? It's actually 150,000 people. But how can I buy that? I can't buy 150,000 people, but I can buy one fucking greedy politician. I can trap that greedy politician with drugs, prostitution, underage sex. You can blackmail them. You can extort them. You can threaten them and their family and their lives, right? You can threaten their, oh my goodness, here we go. Oh no, don't threaten my legacy, my good name, like all these politicians really have good names. Really. Anyways, yeah. They're dedicated to bringing all of these third worlders in to replace us. And they think, the politicians do, my friends, they think they're going to be able to keep their wealth and be part of the big club. I'm sorry. Unless you become a Talmudist, you're not going to become part of the big club. And even if you are a Talmudist, you're still expendable. You may be part of the club, but you're not sitting at the table having steak and lobster You're at the gate letting people in and out. You're doing dishes in the kitchen. And then the response there is, well, I'm still part of the club and you're not. Yeah, well, you're a fucking sellout, traitorous, evil piece of shit. And that's our government, folks. That truly is our government. And I agree with you, Viking. These people don't want a war unless it benefits them, but they don't want to pay the price unless they make money themselves. And they're willing to sell their own countries out because they're scum. And that's where we're at. Literally where we're at. Thank you, Viking. And now we're going to move on. We got great super chats. I want to thank everybody for participating. Big Dan is back. Pow. Another $5 super chat. It is the Memorial Day special of the Sunday Night Live Zoo, and we're all here. And Dan says, living in Seattle, ugh. You see lots of homeless all over the place and some veterans as well. It's sad. So out of here 2 years when I retire, this state sucks. Now, as all of you know, or should know, or could know, but now you're going to know, I'm from California. I was born in the city of Los Gatos, the Cats, in the South San Francisco Bay Area. It's over there, Los Gatos, Silicon Valley, where I grew up. I went years ago, and I couldn't recognize it. Fucking eBay and Google and Apple everywhere. Places that I used to go to school. Drive. My family drove anyway. I was under to age 10. Crazy. And then when I left California for the RMZ, I went to the San Francisco, or was it Oakland? I think maybe it was Oakland, because they have a big airport, and it'd take me down south to the country I needed to go to, where the RMZ was at, the jungle, and I was disgusted because I left extreme Northern California. Yeah, there's fuckheads there. There's pot growers. Yeah, there's fucking hippies, and there's mountain men and loggers. There's also good people, and lots of them. But when I got down into Sacramento, I thought, it looks like shit. Then I got to the Bay Area, and I was absolutely disgusted. This is July of 2020. There were homeless encampments at the on-ramps and off-ramps of the freeways. And when I say a homeless encampment, literally, it looked like a crowded campsite. Tents all set up. You got a ramp going off and one going by and doing the cloverleaf turns. These are all full of people. Not just one, but all of them. And when I got, it was Oakland. It was Oakland. When I got there, it was incredible, the amount of homeless people and the graffiti and the destruction. And it's awful. And now Europe looks like that. Europe is supposed to be this old world, beautiful, civilized place. Civilized. Not anymore. It's California sucks. And I was glad to leave it. And I've only gone back to see my son, who still lives way up north. But the great cities of the world, of the Western world, have been destroyed. Absolutely destroyed. I'd hate to see. I mean, I've seen what's happened to London. I've seen what's happened to Belfast, Ireland. I'm scared to death what's happened to Edinburgh. I'm scared to death, right, to look at what's happening to all these great cities in Europe. Rome, Milan, Stuttgart, Frankfurt, Berlin. I wonder if Geneva is fucked up. The Swiss are pretty good at keeping their shit safe. Vienna, Austria, just all of these places. They're beautiful cities, ruined by these fucking scumbags. All right, Big Dan, I appreciate everything. Great support. And now we're on to Bob Hunter. Oh, he wants to talk movie talk again. A great £5 super chat donation. He says, John, my second favorite movie is Papillon, 1973, starring Steve McQueen and Dustin Hoffman. Great, great movie. Old school movie where no special effects, no artificial intelligence, CGI created crap. You have to have a story. You have to have the actors. It has to be well written. You have to have the scenery, the everything, right? So Papillon means butterfly, Papillon. The island they went to is called Devil's Island. It's a prison island. And they're both prisoners. Steve McQueen and Dustin Hoffman's characters showed up and I believe Steve McQueen's nickname was Papillon. They show up on the same ship and they're in prison, and Steve McQueen tells Dustin Hoffman, look, I know you got a roll of banknotes shoved up your ass so that you can pay off and bribe guards to get special treatment. And he says, basically, everyone in this ship will cut you open from your neck to your nuts to get that money out so they can live better, whether it's the people on this boat or the people in the prison. Once they know you've got them, you're dead man. But for a share, I'll protect you. And that's kind of how this relationship starts. But it's an awful fucking movie. It's awfully good. But it's awful nonetheless because it shows men. And yeah, they were criminals, but right now you and I could easily be considered criminals because of your beliefs in something like this, which they want to criminalize because this is anti-Semitic. This is anti-Islam. Oh yeah, folks, they'll come after us as soon as they can. Anyways, that's you see the hopelessness of the situation you're in and how do you get out and the things that happen and how tyranny attacks you. Anyways, Papillon's a great movie, but it is old school style movie. At the end, Steve McQueen gets off the fucking island. I won't tell you how. But prison movies, escape movies. A more American version would be Escape from Alcatraz with none other than Clint Eastwood. Great movie. I saw that one at a drive-in as a kid with my parents. Drive-in theater, they hang the thing on the window, squelchy, stupid thing, and you got to duck down and look out the windshield. Good stuff. I remember drive-in theaters as a kid. What a world. Anyways, Big Bob, thank you again, sir. And, well, Bob's going to give us a $5 super sticker as well. Thank you, man. All the dollars. Keep the lights on. Keep the tuna fish. And folks, be sure the tuna fish. I got to stop. Time out. The food you buy at the store, make sure it's real meat and not fake tuna fish or fake spam, right? We now have to go on guard against fake meat. It needs to say it is pork or chicken or beef or turkey or salmon or mahi-mahi or whatever. Make sure it's real meat and not protein or, 3D printed crap. Good God, they're fucking trying to kill us. Anyways, thank you, Big Bob, for that. Appreciate it. Wow. Northern Pike is back. He says, you are very much a wise man. Happy Sunday. Northern Pike, I spend an awful lot of time thinking about what's going on here. I do something I've done since I was in high school. And then again, what I did in the Marine Corps is, you ever hear that idea? If you want to learn, you put the book under your pillow and the book stuff will somehow get in your brain. And I never understood how it works, or even if it did work until I tried it. So if you are having trouble with math, you put the math book under your pillow, you go to sleep, and the next day and the following days, if you keep doing it, you'll wise up and learn the math or learn the history or learn any subject. And I figured out how it works. It's not a miracle. It doesn't make you instantly a genius. But the fucking hard book on the back of your head, the hard book makes you think, what is the fucking hard thing? Oh, math. Oh, math. What do I need to? And your mind works. Your subconscious mind works because it recognizes that fucking book is under your head, right? And so later on in life, with the advent of the Walkman, is I would get the early versions of books on tape, or motivational speaking, or educational books on tape, like tape cassette, put them in the Walkman or the Discman, and put those on and sleep with that on and learn subconsciously, because the subconscious mind continues to work while the conscious mind takes a fucking break, right? So I continue to do that to this very day, folks, whether the subject is SHTF politics, history, religion, alternative histories, science, everything. And I just put it on and listen to it while I sleep. And the reason I do that is because I want to know, I want to understand, I want to have a firm grasp on reality. I don't want to miss something. And I miss this stuff all the time. No one's perfect, but the point is I want to know. So you call me a wise man, Northern Pike, and I really appreciate that. And I accept it as a compliment. Happy Sunday to you and all, and Memorial Day as well. But the reason I bring this up is if it wasn't for doing this, I don't think I would have as good a grasp on everything as I do. If I get up in the middle of the night to go take a leak, sit on the toilet and start either read a book or go through world events, stay current, and I go back to sleep and I know my subconscious works on it. I think it's that important. And it seems to pay off. I believe I have a pretty good grasp on what's going on. I like to share it. And then again, I like to learn from you guys, accepting more information, more perspectives, more thoughts, not just the American thought, but the Canadian thought or the Australian or the UK or European. It's all very important to me. And I want to thank you, Northern Pike, for supporting it. Now we're going to flip over to Big Dan the Man, this time with a $20 super chat donation. Good golly, we've got just a few minutes left, folks, but I will stay here as long as it takes to get all of your thoughts, your super chats on the screen and go over them. Dan says, I think Russia and China should help us out in the Strait of Hormuz. All three superpowers allied up for this problem in world energy consumption debacle. What's your thoughts? A parlay with our foes for a problem solved? And a parlay, folks, is French for speak, conversation, meeting, right? Je voudrais parler avec Iran, right? I would like to speak with Iran, right? Parlay. You write, I think Russia and China should help us. Well, Russia is not real happy with the United States of America because Russia has been bombed by by Ukraine with bombs and drones and missiles that are manufactured with and by and with the help of and with the financial assistance of America, I believe Italy, Tesla, England, and did I say Italy? Yes, and other countries. So why would Russia, who's losing the lives of its civilians, its oil refineries, its bridges and roads, they're being attacked by Ukraine with the assistance, military assistance, equipment assistance, technological assistance of the United States. Russia has no intention of helping the United States of America with Iran. And Iran is a strategic military and trading partner of Russia. Now, if you look on a map, a world map, Iran is bigger than the state of Texas. It's a big motherfucking country. Russia, if you look on a world map, is enormous compared to the United States of America. It's a very large and long country. China, the other country you mentioned, it'd be great if they would help us with the Strait of Hormuz. But they too are having problems with the United States of America. Right? The only thing China can't do for itself is produce enough energy to care for itself. It doesn't have the oil reserves. So it has to buy oil from, primarily two countries, Russia and Iran. So that's their quandary, if you will, with respect to helping America defeat Iran. However, I don't think that China has to defeat Iran. It just has to help the peace process proceed and culminate in an agreeable decision to open the Strait of Hormuz, to let energy flow out for the sake of the whole world, including China. But you see, right now, the United States of America is holding about $350 billion in treasury notes that are owned by Russia. Russia gave their money. They've had that money confiscated and held and locked up. Russia is not allowed to use the SWIFT system. The SWIFT system, number one, isn't that swift or fast. The SWIFT system is the international clearing of debts. It is the Visa and MasterCard of countries that are trading with one another. They need to move money from, say, France to Canada. It goes through the SWIFT system to, yes, the money's in France, and we're going to send it to Canada. So we're sending it from France, we're sending it to Canada, and the SWIFT system ensures all those things happen and everything is accounted for. Okay, France is now lower by, say, $1 billion, and Canada is now richer by $1 billion. So those trade imbalances are settled in, well, U.S. Treasury notes through the SWIFT system. Russia can't participate in that, and they have $350 billion frozen in it. They're not going to help anybody. If the United States wanted Russia to act on our behalf and on behalf of the commonality of all world nations to work towards peace, it would be smart to give them back the $350 billion that's been literally stolen. Well, no, it's just frozen, John. Freeze my money for 3.5 years? Think I'm going to be fucking happy that I can't get my money? Well, that's the attitude of Russia. Now, with respect to China, China doesn't like the way it's being treated. China still feels like it's being treated like they're a nobody. China is a very populous country. It's now a very technologically advanced country because they have done a great job of acquiring, aka buying national secrets, technological secrets, as well as taking technology out there and improving it on their own. But China doesn't want to rely on America, the United States of America, because they saw what America did to Russia. So why should they put themselves in a position where they have to be America's bitch or they get their assets frozen? So, Dan, I agree with you 100%. I would love Russia and China to help this out to bring us to peace. The same way I would like China and the United States to find peace in Ukraine to stop the war with Russia. So you have to ask yourself, if we're not going to get peace, I just lost my thought. If we want this peace, it needs to benefit everyone. It truly does. But who benefits from war? Who benefits? The banks benefit because they loan money to governments to go buy munitions, bombs, tanks, helicopters, missiles, jets and bullets, guns, beans, bandages, ships. The companies that make all those things make money. The banks make money. Countries broker power and peace and war, and they get control. So why should they give it up? It is only you and I, the pawns on the board, that run around trying not to get stepped on, squashed, or kicked. But so you look at who makes money off of war and why. The oil companies. Oh, there's a shortage. Now they're all going to make more money. Right? Iran will still sell its oil. These other countries will still sell their oil. The United States oil, which is controlled by oil companies, they're all going to continue to make even more money because of higher oil prices. And there's nothing you and I can do. But the governments are causing it and allowing it and extending it and making it worse or better as they see fit. But everyone else seems to make money off of this except me and you, the good people of the world. So I would love for everything to get fixed, but I just don't see it happening because these bastards are all making money on it. Northern Pike says $2 for batteries to keep your left keeping the light on. Thank you, Northern Pike. I appreciate it. Every dollar you guys contribute does keep the lights on, keeps me safe and sound in the bunker. And this one's really important. If you guys didn't do what you do every single week and support us at the preparedmind.club, this website here, www.thepreparedmind. If you guys didn't sponsor the show and take care of it, I would have to get another job. And 3 jobs is too many fucking jobs. I'm 56. I'm no longer in my 20s. I can't do 3 or 4 jobs. So I want to thank you guys, right, to keep the lights on for this show, to pay for the bills, the servers, all of the subscriptions that we have. You guys do a great job. Thank you so very much. Thank you again. Thank you, Northern Pike. And this looks like the last super chat donation for the night. Perhaps there'll be more because I got a few minutes, but we got Bullish Paul McCartney checking in with a 556 super chat donation. And he writes a very good question, and by golly, I'm going to have to answer it. He says, if China is dependent on the world's oil or the dollar, why can't they build nuclear power? Bullish Paul McCartney, get this. China is building more nuclear power plants right now, and they have been for the last 5 years, than all other nations combined in the world right now. We are right now in the start of what is called a nuclear renaissance. In Europe, guess what nuclear power is? It's no longer evil, dirty, dangerous. It's now green power. It's green power. They've stopped shutting down nuclear power plants, and they're starting to reopen them, recommission them, and even rebuild and redesign and build new ones. The United States, same story. They're really pushing these small modular reactors in the United States of America. Other nations as well, but China leads the pack. China leads the pack. And by the way, they're de-dollarizing. The whole world is de-dollarizing. That's going to be some very, 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 very big changes in the United States of America. And it's going to change how the United States of America, the government, pardon me, the way they finance our debt. There's big problems in the U.S., but let's go back to your comment and question. They have nuclear power, and they're building more. They're importing coal out of Australia, literally out of Australia. They're importing incredible amounts of coal and stockpiling it for their coal-powered electricity generation. They have coal. They have gas. They have nuclear power plants, not to mention, or in addition to their solar power plants that they're building, which requires an incredible amount of silver, upwards of 200 million ounces a year for solar panel creation. Okay. China is producing more power. They are consuming more natural resources. Now, with respect to nuclear power, China has cut a deal with Kazatomprom, or Kazakhstan, which is another massive country, and they're the #1 producer of yellow cake uranium in the world, but they're having their troubles just like everyone else. They need more sulfuric acid to pump into the ground to dissolve the uranium so they can pump it out of the ground. That's their ISR. Then they have, I think, traditional nuclear open pit mines, but their mining supply is getting smaller. They need to do more exploration, more this and that. But Kazakhstan is supplying China. Russia does the enrichment and fabrication into fuel for the purpose of not nuclear weapons, but the power plant, which is the difference between the two. Enrichment for nuclear power and enrichment for weapons grade is night and day circus different. So Russia is fabricating the fuel for China. China's opening power plant after nuclear power plant after nuclear power plant, and they intend to keep that going. I think their plan runs all the way through 2050. What they want to do, what China wants to do, is get completely off of gas, oil, diesel, as much as they can, because they don't have their own supply of it. So as a consequence of that, China's automobile manufacturing market, which is the biggest in the world, This whole idea that America has Ford and General Motors and Chrysler Chrysler and blah, 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 blah. China's it. China's it. And their electric, their EVs is off the fucking hook. The quality of cars is on par with America and Europe. Okay. And then they're also going to start producing their own solid state silver batteries for EVs, which is set on a world market to consume another anywhere from 200 to 400 million ounces a year. Just between the solar panels and the EV batteries. I mean, Samsung's battery takes, I think, a kilo per vehicle. It's a huge amount. Anyways, there's not enough silver. There's going to be a fucking silver shortage like you can't imagine. And there's a copper shortage. Anyways, it's crazy business, but I appreciate the question of Bullish Paul McCartney. Great donation. One of my favorite numbers, 556. And anyone who's ever held a firearm knows exactly what that means. But thank you, sir. And at the very end here, Northern Pike checks back in and talks about the subconscious mind, manifesting goodwill. Yes, sirree. Happy Sunday. Happy Memorial Day weekend. And please remember the men and women that have served not just the United States, but served freedom and liberty and goodwill. We'll use that term in all countries and nations around the world. Across all time, there have been great people everywhere. And just remember this, every nation's military and people think they're on the right side of the law, the right side of the war, the right side of morality. The best way to know if you're truly good or bad is to look and determine, right, whether you really are good or bad by the fruit tells you if the tree is good. Bombing children in Iran is not good. Flattening Gaza and killing hundreds of thousands of people is not good. Bombing the Christians in Lebanon is not good. Bombing children and young adults in college dormitories in Russia is not good. Poisoning people with mRNA, feeding us bugs, poisoning our water, poisoning our air, overcharging us for energy and water and life and food is not good. You'll know a tree by its fruits, folks. Chance favors the prepared mind. Godspeed, God bless, and I wish you all well. And unless my survival training goes long, I'll be back tomorrow night. But survival training, nonetheless. Go to thepreparedmind.club to get prepared, folks. And I tell you what, this has been a great show. It was as big and as awesome as I thought, and I've got more to talk about. Maybe we'll talk about it tomorrow night. Godspeed, Semper Fi. I'll see you later.